What's going on, guys? JPP2 here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Monday. And for today's gameplay, we have a Runick Prank Kids, or Prunes if you might want to call it that way, versus a pure Runick matchup, with my opponent playing Runick going first. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the Runick archetype yet, you have to be pretty new if you're not familiar with it because everyone is spamming that archetype in ranked, in the event, everywhere. They're mashing that engine in every single deck list they can think of that can fit this engine in their deck list. As you guys are seeing, I'm running it with my prank kids as well. So yeah, if you're not familiar with it, what it does is that it basically skips over their battle phase, but they keep banishing out your cards from your main deck until you deck out, and they keep protecting their back row with their Hugin Moon in place. And yeah, it's a whole lot of hassle. They keep recycling cards with the fountain, and it just sucks. So with that being said, the opponent starts off his turn by activating the Allure into a Pot of Desires. As you guys see, in my hand, I currently hold no hand traps. Max C does not work against Runick players because they only special summon out like once or twice if they even want to go into that way. And if they hard draw the fountain, they don't care much for it. So this guy apparently hard drew the fountain, does not need to go into the Hugin combo to search for the fountain. And again, Maxi maybe will draw you 1, 2, or maybe 3 cards at max against these guys. Ash Blossom, however, is the card that you want to have in your hand against these guys. You want to Ash Blossom either the Hugin Search, or you can Ash Blossom the fountain recycle draw, right? The recycle into the draw is a big part of their engine. If you do negate that and they have no more follow-up cards afterwards, you just win the game at that point. So again, no hand traps, we have to play with what we get. He activates Fountain into a Tip. Tip will search him for Freezing Curses. Freezing Curses is a card that basically is an imperm. It's going to negate a face-up monster on the field. It's a targeted negate face-up monster on the field. So basically an imperm Baylor in your hand. But it's a quick effect. Because of the fountain, they could activate from their hand. And at this point, the banishing starts, okay? This guy is going to go full ham on the banish. He is going to banish, I will show you guys, I'm not going to give it away right now, but he's going to banish quite a lot of my cards. So, Allure states that whenever a quick play spell is activated, it banishes 1 card from your opponent's deck, right? So all these are quick play spells. They banish by themselves, but that's going to trigger the Allure. Allure is going to keep banishing 1 more. So my banishment pile starts getting filled up. My Dropsies gets banished, my Tip gets banished, then 4 more from the Golden. He gives me a draw, but okay, whatever. Then he activates Fountain chained on the Allure to get the recycle off into a draw. So Allure will banish 1 more, he sets down a card, passes his turn over. Now, I don't know what that set card is. Usually the Runick players, they will never set down cards, right? Because their fountain basically enables them to activate their quick play spells from their hand. So there's no point in setting down a card. So again, don't get me wrong, your opponent could be mind gaming you, so keep that in mind because a lot of pro Runick players or people that know how to play the game, they can mind game you and make you think it is something important, while it could just be like a pot of extravagance or maybe another pot of desire set down on the field. That happens. So be extremely careful when they do set down a card like that. So with that, we go into our draw phase. I draw into my copy of Roxy's. So far, on my opponent's turn, he has managed to banish 7 cards from my deck. Okay, 7 cards this guy banished out instantly. I start off my turn, first of all, by activating my Prank-Kids Place. That's the first play you want to go for, because this play, if people don't know how to play against Prank-Kids, they could Ash Blossom it. The Prank-Kids Place search is Ash Blossomable, and if you guys don't know how it works, it can show your opponent is carrying a hand trap. So if they have an Ash Blossom, let's say, and if you activate Prank-Kids Place, and your opponent side of the field highlights and they have nothing on the field, that basically guarantees they have a Maxi or an Ash Blossom in their hand, because they can chain it to the Prank-Kids Place activation. So it's basically a way to figure out if your opponent has hand traps or not. Again, don't get me wrong, people could have the activation turned off, or nowadays people are on the switch and hold. they could be holding down the right click to make this go off when you activate this, so the game does not prompt them, so you will not know if they have the hand trap or not. But it's basically an advanced game mechanism, and not many players use it anyways. So with that, he activates his first card, the Destruction. Destroys my Prank Kid's place on activation, so the search will not go through. He banishes out my cards, Allure is going to trigger, it's going to banish one more. Now, while all this is happening, I'm thinking to myself, okay, as long as this guy does not banish my Prank Kid's Pandemonium or Prank Kid's place, I should be good. As long as I have those cards in my main deck, they stay in my main deck, I can play around this guy. I do not care for the other cards getting banished currently. Then he activates Tip. Tip is going to search him for a card, is going to banish one from my deck, and the Allure will banish one more. My Instant Fusion gets banished. Allure banishes out a Slumber, don't care much for it. This guy ended up searching for a Golden Droplet. Golden Droplet will get me a draw and banish top 4 cards. So top 4 cards gone, and I don't know if you guys saw it real quick, when I was playing the game, really quickly out of the corner of my eye, I saw my Pandemonium getting banished. The last card to get banished right there was my Pandemonium. I mean, granted, Allure still has the activation, but Pandemonium going away is a big hit for me. We cannot recover these cards, okay? Once they're gone, they are gone. Cannot recover them anymore. So with that, Allure banishes one more. At this point, I'm just praying. Please do not let my Prank Kid's pranks get banished. With that, he activates Fountain, chaining on the Allure, recycles 3, draws into 3, and the card that gets banished is a Prank Kid's place. I'm okay with that. Then I normal out my Dropsies, we start going into our combo. Now, the card that we drew off of the Golden Droplet was Thunder Dragon Fusion, okay? And my Prank Kid's pranks have not gotten banished. Like, if you guys look at my banishment pile, 19 cards have been banished, okay? Understand something. I'm playing a 40 cards deck list. This guy banished half my deck list in a single turn. So his turn plus my turn that is currently happening banished out half my deck. He just put his pedal to the metal, just banished out everything that he could. Pretty bad situation for us. But the Thunder Dragon Fusion in my hand and the banishes in my banishment pile, if you guys look at it carefully, I do have all 3 cards banished for the Butler combo. So Thunder Dragon Fusion was an excellent top deck from the Golden Droplet. And those 3 cards getting banished, big favor from the opponent. This card is now activatable. We just instantly put Butler on the field. And the reason I was hoping for my pranks to not get banished is that with Pranks Search from this Doodle-Doo, I could do a 1 card full combo access code. So you guys will see right here, I'm going to chain link the Fansies, chain link to the Doodly-Doo. It's going to resolve. Doodly-Doo has to search for pranks, right? That's the only card left we can search for. We're going to have to pitch a copy of Lamseys because unfortunately, Panday got banished. So with that, I go into Bow Wow. Now the reason for going into Bow Wow right here is because I needed link materials with different attributes in the graveyard to activate my access code and start popping the opponent's field, right? We need to get rid of Fountain so that in case I cannot kill him this turn, I could still have a follow-up turn next turn. So with that, I burn him for 5, activate Pranks. Pranks will pitch a Pranks card from my hand, get me a token. Token plus Bow Wow go into Nightmare. Nightmare, keep in mind guys, has to bounce this Fountain. I cannot bounce the face down card he has set on the field. I need to bounce out the Fountain because he still has 1 more card activation that he did not go through. He still has that card in his hand, I believe, Freezing Curses, right? If I use the Unicorn to bounce this card and he does not activate Freezing Curses to negate it, we are done. Our access code will be cooked out. So this Unicorn has to target out the Fountain, but keep in mind he does have a way to play around it, but he's he's not gonna do it. Okay, so the way to play around the situation that I'm gonna put in front of my opponent was that he has to go into Gary. If this guy went into Gary, Gary would offer him a pop on the access code. So once access code pops the Gary, Gary will trigger from the graveyard and pop out the access code. That was the play he should have made. But most Runick players, as you guys know, are just spamming it without thinking how the engine works. So with that, we target out the fountain. So there it is, the freezing curses. Now, let's think about the scenario. If you activate Unicorn on the back row, which you don't know what it is, could have been imperm, right? But usually, these guys don't play hand traps. Runick players, they don't play hand traps because they usually brick out on hand traps. So, if you chose to bounce out the back row set, his fountain would still be on the field. And access code, once it comes on the field, there is a window in the middle. Access code is the first activation is it gets the attack boost, your opponent cannot respond to it. And there's a window in the middle that your opponent can respond to access code in there. And then you activate access code to start popping your opponent's cards. So that window right there, he could activate the freezing curses and negate out the access code if I kept the fountain on the field. So you have to play smart against these guys. With that, sure, I'm okay with that. He lets the bounce go through. I don't know why. He let the bounce go through and he puts a copy of Moonin on the field. Now that is the worst play he could have made. Yes, Moonin will protect his back row from getting popped once. Again, it says when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a Runick cards you control or set cards you control, you can banish this card and negate the activation. He just misplayed completely, okay? Just misplayed completely. He had to put Gary, the doggo, on the field. So once I use access code again to pop the Gary, Gary activates from the grave and pops out my access code. That's how he would have prevented me from lethaling himself. Did not do it that way. So now, Allure still activates, banishes out one card. We don't care much for it. We have game at this point. Access code comes to the field. The first card you have to pop is the Moonin. Do not go for the back row sets, okay? Moonin has to be popped first and then you target the back rows because Moonin offers protection. It's going to negate plus pop the card. It's going to negate and pop your access code. Keep that in mind. So, excuse me. It's not going to be able to trigger anyways because access codes activation cannot be responded to either ways. So it doesn't, I mean, you want to make it a habit to pop the Moonin first anyways. So pop the Moonin first, then go for the back row sets. So access code second pop, gets the second row. Turns out it was a Cosmic Cyclone. So I'm okay with that. Third pop on the Allure because why not? We have to BM this guy. Now the reason why I told you guys I needed the Bow Wow in the graveyard is because I needed the different link materials in the graveyard for the pop. Also, again, in case the play goes haywire, the opponent does something that makes it so that I can lethal him this turn, you need to keep the Meow move in the graveyard to recycle with your Prank Kids pranks so that way, if you draw into a Prank Kids combo starter next turn, you could go into your Prank Kids combo again. So you have to play smart about this. With that, we activate Thunder Dragon Fusion, get the 3 Pranks name backs from the banishment pile into Butler. Pretty straightforward stuff. Activate, okay, right here I was gonna BM my opponent, but I actually messed up on the BM. I had to activate Fountain first and then activate Tip to get my recycle into a draw. Messed that up, but that's okay. We win the game anyways. So with that, we go into battle phase. I mean, this all happened in battle phase anyways. So 5.3 and +3 and the 500 burn from Lamses, way over lethal. And that's going to be it for today's gameplay. Hope you guys do like these kind of videos. If you do like them, please consider hitting the like button, subbing to my channel for more daily prank and video uploads. And if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule and a link to my Discord will be in the video description for you guys to check out. Even though I am not following the schedule currently, I will be on it in a couple of days, so I do apologize about it. With that being said, this is JPBduel signing off for today. I'll be seeing you all in the next video, guys. Peace!